Congratulations on choosing an incredible program. I have absolutely no doubt that it's going to change your life and that of your family. As we go through it, I'll just explain a couple of things of how the actual program works, and I hope it will help you trying to understand that it's a very easy process, and you don't need to be stressed out or worried that you're not going to remember anything. As you receive your first set of books or any of your books that arrive, our books are referred to as paces. Your children will work according to their own pace, according to the speed at which they're comfortable to work at. As soon as you receive them, take the test out the inside and pop them in your test file. And it will probably be a good time to take the test out the inside of the actual score key and put it with your, or behind your test in that test file. Like so. I'm going to go through the actual pace with you just to show you how mastery learning is actually done and what it actually means. As our paces are based on a godly curriculum, I'd like to just go through what mastery learning means. On the front page of every book or pace is the actual goals that the children are set to do throughout the pace. The paces are also based on godly character traits. There are 60 throughout each year course. At the bottom is the scripture that would reinforce that godly character trait. And the scripture itself becomes a theme which the children will learn throughout their pace. Every couple of pages, that scripture verse is at the bottom where the children will have to fill in the missing words. And by the end of that pace, they would know that scripture. The best part is that as they're doing 5 or 6 subjects, they're learning 5 to 6 different scriptures every single week. Once the children actually start the pace itself, it starts with the concept of what they're going to be learning. After the explanation, they'll have a couple of samples which they can then try out. At the bottom is a score key, which means that it's time to score the page. Normally, score keys are kept on a separate table or away from the actual pace working area, and the children themselves will be taught how to do their marking. They'll be accountable to look for any errors on their page, and then they'll have the opportunity to go and correct them once that's done, if there was anything incorrect. So for every single pace, we have what's called the marking guide or the score key. They would then go and find that page number that they would then need to score. As they go through scoring their pace, if there was anything wrong, they would just put their little cross against the side margin in the number, small little cross. Having a whole page of crosses isn't going to encourage anybody. So if there are at least 3 crosses per page, I would recommend as a supervisor just to stop and maybe go back over the concept with your child and just help them through and find out what it is they didn't quite grasp when the concept was being shared. Once they've actually scored this page, they'd put a little red cross in the first block. And if there were any incorrect answers, they would then stop, go back to the place that they were doing their work, just erase the answer that they had got incorrect, try it again, correct their mistakes, and put their pencil mark in the middle block. This shows that they've corrected their mistakes. They would then go back to their scoring table, take the red pen again, check the answer that it's correct, put a little circle over that incorrect answer to show the supervisor that it is now corrected. The little red cross goes in the end block, which shows that it's rescored, and then they may move over to the next page. One of the great advantages of your child scoring their own work is that they can learn from their mistakes. If they've made a mistake, it gives them the opportunity to go back, go through that concept and try it again. So as the pace itself is mastery learning, after each section of work, we have what's called the checkup. There are 3 checkups throughout each pace. And we need to know, as supervisors, that our children know what they're doing, that they've actually grasped the first part of the lesson before they can continue. It's no use getting to the end of their pace to discover that they didn't know what they were actually doing right from the beginning. So your checkup is very valuable. In a lot of the different subjects, such as science and social studies, you're actually able to go and pick up that pace and perhaps ask them a few questions just to make sure that they have understood it, they have read it correctly, and then they're able to continue with their checkup. Every time it's asked a supervisor to initial, or just before you initial that checkup, remember that you as the parent or supervisor are going to use your green pen. The children will need to get a minimum of at least 90% of that self-test to be able to do the test the next day. Once the self-test has been scored, it would be good to make sure that that 90% has been achieved. Otherwise, they will have to go back and reinforce and go over the different checkups and the parts of that case that they didn't quite grasp. If your child hasn't grasped the concept, remember that as a parent, all your instructions are contained within the PACE. You can then go back together and do it together so that your child can understand what they're doing before they move on. If they're still not able to grasp it at that point, it might be a good idea to contact your teacher. Our recommended percentage is at least 80%, that the children should understand at least 80% before they're able to carry on with their next concept. They then move through the PACE until the end of the PACE, where we have what's called the self-test. As a supervisor, you're asked to initial the self-test so that you're fully aware that this is a test and they will be tested on the entire PACE. The children will write the self-test and will not be able to refer back to any of the work that they've previously learnt. The pass mark for the self-test is 90%. If the children know at least 90% of this PACE, they're then ready to take the test the following day.